And we are live. What's up, my friend?
Baby Mark, in the house like furniture, down like gravity.
Oh, you got a little rhyme for me immediately.
You know how we get down. First of all, man, I gotta say this.
Yes, sir.
Happy birthday.
Belated, and I appreciate it. And thank you for coming.
Happy belated, my Gemini friend. I hope you're enjoying your music, man.
Let me tell you, just in case, I brought the present you brought me in a giant gift wrapping because I have to tell you, it's one of the best gifts I've ever gotten.
Oh,
I'm
man,
serious,
listen,
like of all time.
man, I appreciate. Listen,
This bag is so loud, I'll probably get kicked out of wherever I'm playing golf.
yeah,
But when I do, for all those that can't see, this is a Bluetooth powered, beautiful leather, possibly pleather, I'm not sure.
yeah,
But
you know,
but there's a value is what that is.
yeah,
WizPack Golf. And you do backpacks as well, right? WizPack.
yeah,
And
man.
I
I wish
you're
that we
part of it.
my guy Slam. We put those packs together, so we have backpacks. As a matter of fact, I have donned Catch many a night, and I appreciate you. And for anybody who hasn't felt, if you're under a rock and have not had the Catch experience, Mark, what you provide there, man, and not only is the greatest food in the world, but the greatest vibe, the greatest people, how you are, how you're personable
Thank you.
to everybody. The other day, when we went to Catch, we were being social distancing, and somebody was a little like, I want to do more. He says, the way you handled it, he says, listen, the health inspectors here, we want to be mindful. And even at that, man, the way you handled that with such a smooth touch, man, I cannot tell. Look, nobody has more fun than I do when I go to. I damn near live there.
Well, I was thinking, first of all, if we had a customer of a year plaque or customer of the month like they do for employees, it would be you every single month because I think you outdo me in hours spent. And the funny thing, I was thinking the other day that the last night we were really there together was one of the last night. That was the last Saturday when David Blaine was doing magic for everybody and the staff in the kitchen. You guys were there with the crew with Nas, and everybody was having the best time ever. And then next thing we know, we were closed down after that for 2.5 months. And then the first night back, I got to have dinner with you, which is where this came about.
Yeah, man.
By the way, you were really on a roll just now. Usually I'd interrupt you so we can get to it, but since you were saying so many things, please, if you want to continue about how great Catch is and how wonderful I am, I'm happy to making it easy for me. I'll just sit here listening.
Well, that's the main thing. I mean, where can you go, be at Catch, and David Blaine is doing magic?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And just to let y'all know, David Blaine is so good at magic. I don't know if you know this, but the black people that was watching, at a certain level of magic, black people get a little scared. Like he did something, and well,
Ludacris was there, and he looked at him and was like,
"Yeah,
what's going on here?
Black
I feel
like, he's
energy is."
So, but I mean, listen, I'll say it all the time, man. I cannot tell you how great the vibe is there all the time. We roll in with our WizPack, we play our music, and respectfully, even the customers sometimes will be like, "Oh man, am I getting? I don't want to get on nobody's nerves," but they
love it.
It's like a movie, as they would say.
Well, you know what I've often said, and my partner Eugene have often said to the entire staff, like, please understand, this is a movie. It's people's daily life movie. Yeah. And the experience, which is why I felt like Catch would succeed after this trauma, is that you can't pay for that experience at home. You can't find it on your local corner. It is something that you just have to understand that everybody's playing a role. The cast is our hostess team. It is our chefs. It is our servers. It is our customers. And it certainly is the water cooler conversation of like, oh, did you see so-and-so there last night? And they talk about it, and it's fun for them. And it's not just about celebrities. It could be their favorite athlete that might have, like Lindsey Vonn walked over to you and said hello. She's just an Olympian just saying hi while she's walking past. It's unique moments.
Yeah, to see Lindsey, I got a chance to see Lindsey there. Just everybody is Beckham. I saw David Beckham there.
Yeah, just sitting in the corner. Draymond Green rolling around, just talking basketball with fans.
Good looking ass face. I said, "Dow, that
why is he so handsome? That guy.
I'm so handsome. Get out of here with all."
I've never seen anybody born that good looking. Like it stays for years. He keeps getting older and better looking. I don't have that issue. I keep getting older and fatter.
No, man, you look, bro. We don't get older. We season, baby. We
season. Wiser is fun too.
And let me ask you this: how has the quarantine been for you?
Well, let me ask you this, because I could tell you quickly, it's been a mission to get through the newness of sitting at home, and we are alike in that we love to be around people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Entertaining people in different ways, but still gatherings. And I've loved it so much that I made a career out of it, and so have you, right? In different ways.
Right.
So to put somebody like us, you know, and I made a reference to Robin Williams, and I was like, this is like telling Robin Williams he has to sit down and be quiet. That's not somebody who is capable of doing that. And putting us in like a house, as much as we love our significant others, kids, all that stuff, it has nothing to do with it. But we need to be interacting.
Yeah, man, I know what you mean. Well, listen, we hunkered down.
What did you do? Yes.
We hunkered down right after that time. 15 of us in my house. Because I got my mom lives here, my dad lives here, my sisters live here, my daughter, her mom, everybody is here. And it was going smooth. And then you find out little things that, like, because little things of fuck some shit. I had cookies, right? I had these cookies that I set up, and there was a lot of people in the house, so, you know, food would, you know, disappear. But I said, I got my cookies, so at 4 in the morning, I'm going to eat my cookies, you know, have a little beer, whatever. So I hid my cookies. Bro, when I couldn't find my cookies, it was the small things that just I blew the whole house up. I said, who in the fuck took my cookies? I woke everybody up at 4:30 in the morning.
Who admitted it?
And listen, my sister, who I had an inkling that she did it. And I even broke into her room and had my flashlight on my phone, and she was sleeping with her mouth open. And I literally like put the light in her mouth.
The light in her mouth. You saw the molar filled with chocolate?
Yeah. So, and she did admit to it, you know, and said, but then she blamed my mom, and then my mom was like, boy, I brought you into this world. Don't you worry about these damn cookies. I don't give a fuck. So I think that was the biggest thing. But I think for us, just being around each other, I think we needed that. I think I needed to be around my family because we do go a lot. We go a lot. So I needed that. And but I think now we've gotten to the point of where, you know, we can sort of move around now. So we got our unscathed.
You're really turning bittersweet into like a whole thing there with the cookies. Man, it's been bittersweet for sure, though. I feel the same. It's just like, as much as it's been difficult, it's also been one of the greatest gifts we've probably had to spend that quality time without distraction, putting things down. Nowhere to go, nowhere to think, what am I missing out on? There was no FOMO. It was just everybody in the same boat, which made it kind of great. And I think we'll look back on this, hopefully, after we come through these times of uncertainty, which I think is the biggest. There was somebody who said, I don't even know if it's a famous quote, but I heard it, and now I want to take it as my own, which is, human beings will do anything they can do to avoid it and hate it more than anything. And that is uncertainty. And with uncertainty, the stress that we have, think about what we will do to just not be uncertain. Even someone with no credentials telling us it's okay to go outside, you'll be fine, makes us feel good. And as long as everybody does it, they do it.
Right.
Because uncertainty is a very scary thing. You ask a doctor what's wrong, and they say, I actually don't know. That's scary stuff.
That's scary stuff. And the thing about it is like this, and I'd say this to everybody, think like a lawyer, though. Just err on the side of caution. Worst case scenario. So with my mom, 77, my dad, 73, and they both live here together. My sisters who, have pre-existing conditions, that's the only thing that you worry about. I don't necessarily worry about myself. It's just like, wow, if something happens and I bring something back to them, because like even for the past week and a half, 2 weeks now, I haven't been around my mom and dad because I've been out protesting. So we've been traveling. So we just wanted to make sure, because it was a lot of people. So we just want to make sure that we're, that whatever it is, we err on the side of caution, because like we were talking, like when people actually do get it, some people, react differently. And so we just want to make sure we protect our loved ones,
Yeah, the assumption that you could have it, stay away from the people that are really susceptible and are fragile in our society, because clearly now that we have some data, we realize that the fragile people in our society are really the ones bearing the brunt of the extreme things like death or hospitalization and ventilation and all those kind of things. So you mentioned you're with the protests, and it brings me to really the second question of I have a lot of questions. I doubt we'll get through them all, but at dinner the other night, it spawned this conversation of you're someone who goes and isn't just protesting, but you're standing on the stage, the epicenter of a protest. And you have this unique ability, whether you're in a crowd of 4 or 4 million or 4,000, you are one of the few talented individuals alive that are able to effortlessly bring people to a point, listen to a focal point from you, be entertained, educated, and stimulated to listen and focus. Like a whole crowd of people making noise, you have the ability to make them quiet and to make it feel small and intimate, which is a God-given gift for sure.
Thank you.
And like I said to you the other day, I do truly believe in although we've been friends for as long, I don't know, like over a decade now.
Yeah.
I admire you as a fan as well as a friend. But as a fan, I would say to anybody, when they say who's the most talented, it's kind of like the LeBron and Michael Jordan conversation. I don't even have that conversation when it comes to entertainers, if that's how you categorize yourself. You are the greatest of our generation. It is by no means, I'm not kissing ass. I would say that to anybody because I don't know any triple threats, quadruple threats like you. Best in acting, best in comedy, best in music, and not just a little bit, but the greatest at the highest level. And most people strive their entire lives to be good at one of those things, let alone great. You seem to do it effortlessly, and I don't know how it's possible. When did you? I'm going to skip over the protesting for one question just about this.
For sure.
When did you realize that you had a gift of being musical, of comedic acting so effortlessly, no different than a tennis player realizing, a piano player realizing they're gifted. They do it without, struggle like everyone else. Was there a time where you realized like, I'm able to do like all this shit? Yeah. And I don't know what you're struggling about because watch this.
Now, you know
what,
do
an imitation no one can do. I mean, every example I can give, singing, dancing, whatever.
Yeah, well, first of all, Mark, man, I appreciate, man, from the bottom, man, because I respect you so much, man. Like you said, we have known each other 10 years. I was just a kid, man. My grandmother gave me the opportunity to just be me. Like, I knew that I was a funny dude. Like, I remember being in the 3rd grade, right? And my teacher was like, I'm going to end up putting you out to the principal's office every single day. But I was very smart, though. So I told my teacher, I said, listen, I can't go to the principal's office because my grandmother be mad. So she brokered a deal with me. She says, you can do stand-up comedy every Friday for 5 to 10 minutes at the end of class for the class. And so I started doing my thing. And at that time,
as long as you would be quiet when you're supposed to be quiet. As long as I would be quiet,
Monday through Thursday. But what I would do is I would watch the Tonight Show. For you young folks, the Tonight Show has been around for years, and it was Johnny Carson at the time. So I would just take jokes from Johnny Carson and basically say them, in the class. And then I would do my impersonations. At that time, it was Jimmy Carter. Hi, I'm Jimmy Carter from Georgia. I think I was doing So Many Nights, like so many nights, but I was singing this Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
And then as I started getting older, man, like I would learn my music and I would copy certain people. Like I grew my curl out. You can't tell it now, but I had a curl back in the day. And then I would copy Lionel Richie, in the lunchroom, bring a piano and say, hello, is it me you're looking for? I can see it in your eye. So it just started this little sort of kernel of things. And then the next thing you know, man, I went to college in San Diego, 81 different countries at my college, United States International University. But I would go to do stand-up comedy at 18 years old in all of the clubs, like in San Diego. So I was like, my impersonation game was my go-to. Like,
that was your shtick at the time.
I was like, at the time, Cosby was cool, so I was just Cosby, and then Mike Tyson, heavyweight boxing champion of the world. They'll take the tip of the nose and push it in the brand. The heavyweight boxing champion of the world. It was Mike Tyson. And then I was the only black guy doing Ronald Reagan. Pause. I would do Ronald Reagan. Well, as a matter of fact, there you go again. So all of these things that I was doing in school, next thing you know, man, people like Marlon Wayans and the Wayans brothers saw me on stage and like, yo, and Sean said, Marlon, I think he's got talent. Marlon, this kid Jamie Foxx, Marlon, you gotta check him out. And the next thing you know, I'm in front of Keenan Ivory Wayans, Jim Carrey, all of them doing my stand-up.
At what age was that?
I was 24. I was 24. So it's like I won the Black Barrier Comedy Competition in 1991, and the next thing you know, I'm doing my stand-up in front of all the fly girls and in front of the Living Color.
Tommy Davidson there.
Yeah, Tommy Davidson. Wow. And I did this bit where that night, now it was 5 of us up for one part, And that night, I said, look at all the pretty ladies out in the audience. And, you know, of course, all the pretty ladies, clap your hands, clap your hands. I said, now all the ugly ladies, let me hear you clap your hands. And nobody clapped. And then I said, look at all the ugly ladies. Somebody, I know he ain't talking about me, girl. Hey, for real, though. Hey.
Is this where Shanae came from?
And this is when Wanda came in.
Wanda,
so when they saw that, I was like, hey, there go Keenan in there. Hey, Keenan, trying to get on your show, right? So after that, I got on the greatest show, I think, of all times when it came to comedians, because on that show was some of the most incredible, legendary comedians that to this day I still think about this. Think about this, Mark. When I got on The Living Color, when I got to the set, I was the 8th funniest person. That's how dope they were. And so, like, motherfucker like Damon, young Marlon, and Marlon was venomous. Like, he was just so fucking funny. I used to say, Marlon,
because he's the youngest in the family.
Oh,
he's on here now, by the way.
He was like 15, 16, killing. I was like, Marlon, when I tell you, young brother, you the funniest mother. And I didn't want to, I didn't want to make the censure because it was, it was 12,000 wins. You want to get on their damn on their bad side. But I learned from Keenan. Once I got on the show, Keenan taught me one thing. Keenan said, you cannot be mediocre. I said, what you mean, Keenan? He says, as a black comedian, you have to be great. If you're not great, then you ain't shit. Mm-hmm. And so he held us to a certain standard. He taught us the seriousness of being funny. And to this day, I always tell people, because of that tutelage, I could go anywhere in the world right now, do any type of joke in front of any crowd and be absolutely confident because I know how to make it work.
I think that's good advice, not only in comedy, but for everything that people that set out to do in business, to go. And I always look at things that are mediocre in the world and I think, did these people set out to be mediocre? No, but I don't know that they necessarily had the advice of, like, if you want to be like best restaurant, you cannot be mediocre. You in the restaurant business, if you're not an A, or if you don't do 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, you fail.
Yeah, that's true.
It's one of the, and that's why 9 out of 10 fail. And in your business, same thing. How many people try and how many people make it? And then who is really the star? I mean, I'm talking, you can literally count them on hands in some categories.
Yeah.
And the greats are the greats. And that's it. And you have earned that. And by the way, I've been a fan of In Living Color since the day it started. I was watching Saturday Night Live, and then I realized that In Living Color came on after. And I watched that on whatever channel it was in New York. And just obsessed. I mean, the Fire Marshal Bill characters. Damon Wayans was my favorite comedian ever. I mean, I told him that. And Marlon, who is one of my best friends in the whole world, I love and think is hysterical, brilliant, and incredible. And we'll have him on here too soon enough. But Damon, the things that Damon Wayans did in either like Men on Film or when he was, like all the different characters he did, were just. And then he had Blank Man. I talked to him about movies that he doesn't even like. I'm like, The Last Boy Scout to me was genius. Like, he's like, man, I didn't like that movie. Like, it was the best.
He was a juggernaut. I mean, imagine being me, 22, 23, 24 years old, watching them. That's how I learned. Watching Damon craft a joke. Watching Keenan. When you say, Keenan, the jokes ain't funny, man. The writers ain't writing right. He said, get it on his feet. Let's go through it and walk it down. Or imagine this. I got a chance to watch Jim Carrey write Pet Detective. I'm watching this dude in his office with cue cards, and man, I said, what's that in the back? Hey, man, hey, Jamie, just working on some things, man. Working on a couple of things, working, right? And the next thing you know, he called me one day and said, yo, bro, I want to show you this movie I did called Pet Detective. So I go to his crib. So he shows me some of the dailies. I said, bro, I'm going to shake your hand now because after this movie come out, I ain't gonna be able to get around you. And when that movie came out, bro, somebody gets so famous and so rich, you don't even know where they live no more. Where they live. I said, I don't know where that motherfucker live. That motherfucker
He's got his own state.
That motherfucker live on the planet Mars. But to be a comic at that time was amazing because you would see the Wayans, or I would sneak in the Comedy Store and Eddie Murphy be working some shit out. I mean, Dave Chappelle coming up, damn, it's crazy. That Dave Chappelle, the young guy, bam,
not the new Jay.
I was beside myself. That's the one there, Dave Chappelle. Bam, Wu-Tang. I mean, to watch all of these guys, a young Adam Sandler with his guitar, a Chris Rock, all of these guys I got a chance to watch.
Did you ever meet Farley?
I never got a chance to meet Farley. But work with Robin Williams. I mean, just the juggernauts, bro. And so that's how I got, that's how I got my weight up.
A lot of people say that they had influences growing up. Like, I know a lot of people would say Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, George Carlin. I mean, they're all over the map. I mean, you can go all the way back to like, Milton Berle, whatever, but like Rodney Dangerfield, who was all shtick. Did you have somebody really specifically that was your influence, or did you feel like you took from a lot of everybody else and put it and made it your own? It seems more like that to me, but
I took from a lot, but obviously Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy were the juggernauts, but also Whoopi Goldberg, a young Whoopi Goldberg, live at the Met, Billy Crystal, Robin Williams, and then some people you may not know. Steve Allen. Steve Allen was an older comedian who used the piano in his bit, so I would use the piano in my bit. Franklin Ajaye, a young Arsenio Hall, David Brenner, who would guest star on the Johnny Carson show, and also a young David Letterman. So you got to understand, like when I was young, TV was everything for me. That's the way I escaped, because we ain't had no money and all like that. But my grandmother, the only TV was in my room where I slept. So the TV was on all the time. So all these comedians would come on. I just watched them over and over again. George Carlin and his perspective on life and how he spoke as if he was just talking to people.
He was
Lenny
brilliant,
Bruce.
George Carlin. The way he used language was incredible.
Yeah, man.
One of my
Lenny
favorites
Bruce,
still. Lenny Bruce.
Lenny Bruce, Red Fox, Sammy Davis Jr. Because sometimes, and at the time I was watching TV, everybody had like variety shows. So
did you watch all the roasts, the Dean Martin roast and Rickles and all that shit? I still watch them today with YouTube. It's great to watch it all. It's amazing.
So I got a chance to watch all of that, and I just saved it all. So when I got to In Living Color and everything else that I do, I just draw up on those people, man, and just bring them out.
Those days is just like, I don't know that we can ever have them again. I don't know if every generation feels like that, but when you mention all those names of people, I can't think of the modern day versions of them. I know there's some greats out there. I'm not saying there aren't, but man, the talent from back in the day, musically and comedically, I think is just irreplaceable and not repeatable. Those days are just the brilliance was like a whole nother level.
It's a different medium now. I mean, I always think about like, how would I have been with this technology? How would I have been with YouTube and things like that? If I'd had YouTube, which by the way, I created YouTube. A lot of people don't realize that I created YouTube. Yes.
Do tell, how did you, where?
Created YouTube. I said, hey, this computer thing is happening. I said, what if we took everybody and had them send their VHS tape into us, whether they're singing, dancing, or whatever it is, and we would take those tapes and we download them onto the computer, and then that way casting agents and people could see people with talent. So I go on BET, announce it, say, hey, send the videotapes to me. Then I went to, at this time, years back, it was a computer guy said, okay, so what we got to do? He said, Jamie, that makes a lot of sense, but it's going to take 4 days per one tape to download. Wow. And I was like, what? He said, so I was ahead of my time.
But a good idea.
Great idea. Just waiting on my check.
You know what? Write them a letter. I'm sure they'll be very interested in hearing about it.
Well, you can probably find that on YouTube where I actually announced that.
Yeah, well, listen, I'll give you a vote of like, yes, that was you. Let me ask you this question, since we're still on like a little bit of Hollywood experiences. Yeah. And it's one of my questions, but it was for later, but I'm going to bring it to the front. Being in Hollywood, and everybody likes to hear the stories and they read all the things that, they can see with paparazzi and all that stuff. But we all know that it's the stuff that no one gets to photograph. Right. And nobody was really in the room. That is some of the most amazing moments. Without being obviously too revealing, was there a moment where you had such a great time or experience being around X amount of people where you even had to pinch yourself? And I'm sure you've had hundreds, but what jumps out in your mind where like you had to pinch yourself and be like, man, I can't believe I'm standing clearly with Jim Carrey and watching him play Ace Ventura is one of them. I would agree with that. Just hearing it is sort of very jealous of that. But what are something where you're like, man, I can't believe I'm fortunate enough to really be in this situation and I have to like remind myself, like, stay on earth.
Being in the China Club in London with Simply Red in a VIP. Being at Prince Rogers Nelson house. To be around Prince to me was just, I cried the first time I met this dude. You know how people cry? And you see a fan cry, you're like, what are
Yeah,
you doing that
like
shit
I've
for?
never. Yeah, with the
I
Beatles.
saw Prince, 1998, December 31st in Las Vegas. That means at the strike of 12, it's going to be what? 1999.
Wow.
I saw that dude, and I was like, oh shit, I'm not about to. I was like,
is
hey,
it?
man. I said, fuck, man, what's up, man? I appreciate your shit. And he was like, you know, his voice was all sexy. Are you okay? I said, yeah, it's just, you know, you right here in the flesh. I can't believe it. And it was crazy, bro, because
Was it
do
your
it.
comedy show where like stand up where you were like talking about Prince and how beautiful he is and how pretty?
Yeah,
Was it
the
you?
dude was pretty, man. I mean, I always own up to that. The dude, I don't know what kind of makeup he had
beautiful.
on, but he had. I mean, even Halle Berry be like, this.
By the way, you're talking about Prince. Look at my wall of favorites.
Yes.
Just saying. So I
Yes,
appreciate
but
it.
so I was just blown away because I mean I used to knew a girl named Nikki. I guess you could say she was. I mean I would sing all his songs. So to be around him and then to watch him play that night, bro, there was nothing like it. And then I ended up going to his. I was performing in Minnesota, and I get through doing my stand up and I walk outside, and in the alley. Big black dude said, he wants to see you. I was like, what? He wants to see you. I said, who? The kid, Prince, he wants to see you. I said, what? And so we actually got a chance to go to his spot at Paisley Park.
Wow.
And hang out with Prince. So to me, that was one of the greats. And then there's been when the cameras have been off, and I throw parties at my house, and you know this, I've been able to just have the people that I really hold like in high regard over. I remember Denzel Washington coming to my crib, and Denzel is at the dinner table just holding court, you know, talking, doing his thing, you know, all right, okay, all right, yeah, and then boom, all right. And then, you know, I always do a contrast in my party. So I had a mariachi band. I said, D, we got a mariachi band. He said, huh? A mariachi band. All right, okay, so you got a mariachi band, huh? Okay,
I like that.
Mariachi. I like that. Okay. And it was so moments like that we afforded now, I can still hang out with some of the coolest people in the world. I remember doing a party for all of the Olympic basketball players, except for I think LeBron and Steph Curry didn't come, but no phones allowed, just having a great time, just letting people, you know, let their hair down and have a good time. And it goes on and on. I did a party here at the house. You can see right here. You see I got the ghetto mansion. Look, I've
been there.
Yeah, this is the ghetto mansion. That's, you know, I got outside furniture inside. You know?
I love the guest house with the music studio.
Yeah,
That's
man.
insane.
So we had Drake come here. It was 2,800 people here when Drake came, and Drake was young, just getting started, clothes didn't even fit yet. The first album was out. I said, there's a few people in the back want to say hello to you. I took him up on the balcony. He looked out and I said, Drake, man, the one thing I like to do is I like to appreciate and applaud and toast our young artists. And I said, but every time somebody comes to my house, you know, they got to perform. And he was like, oh man. And he's like, and he whispered like, what do I do? I said, sing. And he leaned over the balcony and he says, I'm more than just an option. Ay, ay, ay.
People went nuts.
To be forgotten. I'm better. And the DJ, the people went crazy. And then later that night, at like 4 a.m, I had a concert pianist come and play all of Drake's music unplugged. And we do this thing. I said, Drake, we're going to play your music, but now we're going to have, and you've seen this, Mark, we're going to do new music hour. That's where the people that are in this crowd, not only are they fans, but they're artists as well. So we're going to give them for the next hour an opportunity to sing, dance, spoken word, whatever it is. And he hung out and enjoyed that. So when you talk about, you know, legendary people or people I admire, I'm blessed now to be in that position to, you know, sort of coax them to come to the house and toast them.
I had a similar moment with Drake where I think his mixtape was out and he was getting, like, his first album was just coming out and people in the clubs loved it in New York. He came to eat at STK upstairs where I went and said hello to him and I was already a fan. And then he came down to 10 June and I had to convince him to get on the microphone. He's like, I don't I don't think people are gonna really. I'm like, trust me, and like dragged him out, gave him the mic, and he started performing, and people went nuts. And it was like a fun experience because like now he's so huge, obviously, and to have those moments with him and remind him when I see him, like, don't you forget, I dragged you out there at the club.
Man.
He's
That's
like,
so great.
I know. It was like, yeah, those are moments for sure.
That's what's great about our lives. You and me, Mark, we're able to be in it, but also be fans as well. And then finding that new talent. You talk about the studio I have. Ed Sheeran slept on that couch in that studio for 6 weeks. And I tell that story all the time. And my daughter was like, who's here now, Dad? I said, that white boy got it. And I actually took him to a live night we were doing downtown in LA. And it was all black, 800 black people singing, dancing, I mean, rapping. And these were some of the most high-level musicians in the world at this particular night. And I said, and I brought Ed Sheeran out, and it was almost a riot. They thought it was a joke. It was like, yo, who the fuck is this? You know, with the red hair and shit. And then my guy who plays the guitar says, yo, Fox, come on, man. You know how we keep the room, man. The level of music is up here. What's this? And it was just like a movie. I looked at him and said, let's just see what the kids got, right? And the motherfucker pulled out a ukulele on these black folks. And within 12 minutes, he had a standing ovation. And the rest is history. So, you know, like I said, I feel blessed, man, and to be able to have those types of moments and be around such talented people all the time.
And with that celebrity, which is what it is, that when you become such a megastar like you've been since really the age of 24, and now you're a little bit older than that. But you've been Jamie Foxx, the brand, the personality, the celebrity, the Oscar winner, the Grammy winner, all those things for a while now. And with that comes obviously responsibility and fun and privilege. Like it's like what have you been doing with the things that are going on today? And I know that you're very active, and not just today, but well before today in the Black Lives Matter movement. And I saw you at George Floyd's funeral. I saw you at the protests. And we started talking a bit about Trayvon Martin, and I'm sure there's been others. But what was interesting that you said to me the other day, just to bring everyone up to speed, is that, you know, if you mentally look at it, like everyone who has a tragedy like this gets all this media attention. And I always picture like in a movie when there's like 100 reporters out on their front lawn driving them nuts, but it's also a time where they can't even think about grieving. They're just suddenly an instant celebrity to a degree. And then all of a sudden the news cycle changes the next day or the next week. And it goes from 100% attention to 0. And then the family is left with everything to pick up the pieces. And I know that you've been personally involved in those families like Trayvon Martin for the long term. And I want to know, which really people don't know, I don't think, or certainly not mainstream. How are people like that coping in the long term? Not just the immediate aftermath where we see them on the news every day, but what's going on after? Because I know you stay for the long term, which I think is a beautiful thing. But can you tell us a little bit about, you know, what that's like for these families?
Mark, I'll tell you something. Imagine you right now. Just imagine the person that you love the most is killed. I want everybody to imagine. I want you to imagine. I want everybody right now for just 1 second. Just imagine the person that you love the most is killed. And not only are they killed, get arrested. Just imagine it for just 1 second. So imagine how strong these people are, because they know in situations like Trayvon Martin, where that name is going to last and be in our DNA forever. And this lady has to now figure out a way how to, and when I mean Sabrina and her and his father, they have to figure out a way to continue to live. And that's what's hard. And I've been going to protests since Rodney King. So I've seen this, you know. But I will say the evolution of the protest is what I'm encouraged about. When it comes to the personal thing, I reached out to Trayvon Martin's mom, and we've stayed in contact with each other for these years, because once the limelight goes away, they're still left with this pit in the chest. And so if she needs something. Right now, she's running, for everybody listening, Sabrina Fulton is running for commissioner in Dade County in Miami. I think that's commendable for her to go through this tragic loss of her son. But now she says, I want to make a change, Jamie. And I remember talking to her how she said, I want people to understand that my son was a 17-year-old boy before he's black. I said, why do you say that, Sabrina? Because I want people to see him as my son first. And then he happens to be black. And so we stayed in contact, and now she has a thing called the Circle of Mothers. If anybody is watching, please go on the Circle of Mothers. And there's about 25, 30 mothers who've gone through the same thing, but no limelight. Nobody ever heard their story, but they're still hurting. So we stay in contact with them. And then before our tears could dry for Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd happens. I got a chance to talk to Ahmaud's father. Talked about his boy. That's my baby boy, Jamie, 26 years old. He says, I tried to pay everything forward. I tried to do everything right. I got my education. I'm passing it on to them. My oldest daughter has a master's degree. What do I say to her about her baby brother? I said, wow. And I just listen. And that's the thing. When people are talking about celebrities, we don't go in as celebrities. We just go in as people. I come in from a man from Texas, a boy from Texas, listening to a man from Georgia and just say, hey, man, you need me, you call me. George Floyd. I felt like in this situation, all hands on deck. All hands on deck, because this was the first time we saw something so horrific in public where a grown man cried out for his mom.
Yeah.
For a grown man who was already handcuffed, for a man who had no regard for life. And I think this is a turning point, because when I talk about the evolution of the protest, when I got to Minnesota with Stephen Jackson, Stephen Jackson, that was a good friend of George Floyd, and I stood with my brother. But the evolution is this: it was young white kids, Mark, 18, 19, 20, 22 years old, who were screaming out Black Lives Matter. It made me cry, bro, because it was like, damn, we've been saying this for a long time, but to see them pick it up, it was 90% white. And I think that's what's remarkable about this, is that now it's turned into Black Lives Matter, but Black Lives Matter and the whole human race is involved with it. You know?
And it's not just Black Lives Matter, but it also is Black Lives Matter to everyone.
Yeah.
Not just to black people. It's like that's the other thing about, the marches that I had seen in the past. And when you look at old footage dating all the way back to Martin Luther King and those marches, and then you move forward to after Rodney King, and there's been plenty of other protests. But if it's about Black lives and it's only Black people marching, I didn't think that there was really a significant enough movement happening until finally, you've got white people equally marching side by side and listening. And it was and I, as a white person, I'm a Jew, but I'm a white person, so I get away with pretty much anything white privilege. Let's be honest. White people have that ability. Education is huge, right? Like really understanding the facts of what the fuck has been going on all the way back since slavery and what this country has done to continue a version of that slavery all the way back in the 13th Amendment Netflix show that just came out is a must-see for everybody, every color, every race. It's going on today. It's mind-blowing. And the list of things, I made a list earlier about all the problems that we have to overcome to make things even remotely close to equal. And it's such a long list that it's not even, to some people, like, how do you tackle this? How do you get one of these things done, let alone 20 huge things? But let me ask you this question. How does one keep this going? Because to me, our running problem in all categories, the virus, gun control, and we talked about this the other night, it's related, right? What can be worse than a bunch of children getting gunned down in a school or losing one's child? Well, it's so bad there's no word in the English language, I can tell you that, of a parent losing a child. There's widow, there's widower, there's orphan. But that's so bad, it's so horrific that we watch over and over and over again guns killing kids in schools. Then you think, well, okay, hopefully something's gonna happen because there's so much outrage about that issue. It seems very easy.
Right.
to do something about it. And then you move over, and then it's not just kids. It's now in Las Vegas, a whole crowd of people outside of a music concert. Then it's the literally congressional softball game gets shot up. And still, it's been little to no gun control change, but a whole lot of noise for a short amount of time. And people's minds are like so short term.
Yeah.
But this is all related, I think, gun control and systemic racism, all that stuff. My real question is what do you think is important for all of us, black and white, to do to go beyond the news cycle and beyond the political pressure of, okay, I'm going to make a speech and change some things so hopefully it quiets everything down, we can go back to business as usual? I think that everyone disagrees. I don't think we want that to happen at all. I mean, there's always going to be the pockets of psychos, but I mean, but like people that can make changes, what do you think, and what have you heard about in the circles that you're running in at the protests, et cetera? What are some suggestions to people to do? Like for a white person, what do they do? What do they say? What can they do to help if they legitimately want to help and make it meaningful for a long time?
Well, here's the thing. A lot to unpack there, but what I will say is this: we need to get our sensitivity back. I think we need to hold a lot of people accountable. When you talk about media and how they cover things, it sorts to desensitize things. They sensationalize a lot of things. So we have to sort of look beyond that and look towards the humans. I could tell you on the ground level that, man, there was a lot of love and a lot of peace going on. So I understood that, you know, they had to show sort of the salacious stuff, but I will tell you that we are moving in the right direction to getting our sensitivity back. When it comes to just police brutality and things like that, you just have to change the law. What I would suggest is that when someone that is a police officer does something wrong and fatally kills someone, they have to be concerned that they will go to jail for that. And unless that law is changed, we're not going to get anywhere. It will always be these kumbaya moments. But we are getting laws changed, the chokehold and these different things that are being banned. And I think we also, when it comes to police, and I know a lot of police officers, and what they will whisper to me is they need to make the police department a profession, meaning like at 18, 19, 20, that's your grooming years before you're on the street. So they will have some type of wherewithal of what's going on. And at the same time, I think if it's funding, when I talk about police funding and defunding, I would say this is that we have to increase funding when it comes to psychological help. If you think about it, police officers only hear bad news all the time. Just think about that for 1 second. It's always, they're bombarded with bad things. They call me and you, Mark, because it's good things. So that's weighing on this man's mind as well, along with the other entities that's going on as far as systemic racism and all that. So I think they need 24-hour place that you could call and say, hey, I'm dealing with, so I could decompress. And then inclusion and diversity training. So when you go into a Chinese neighborhood or a Japanese or black or white or Jewish, that you know something about the people that you're stopping. And then compassion, man, compassion. And here's the one thing where, as a black man riding in my car, you know, if I see a police officer, even now, I immediately like, oh, what can happen? We just need compassion. Like when they stopped the guy, Brooks, and God bless him, where was the compassion to say, hey, man, I know this dude has had a few. He's telling me that my daughter, I just celebrated her birthday.
Yeah.
Where's the compassion saying, he says, I'll lock my car and I can just walk a few blocks because I don't want to get an infraction. I know I'm where I'm at. But the compassion, so it doesn't escalate to where it is. We have to do that. And then the other side of it is, when it comes to white people and what they can do, whatever you feel like you need to do, when you close your eyes and imagine that is your family, whatever you feel. I was talking, I hope, I won't say who I was talking to, but I was talking to a very high profile white person who's really jumping into this and helping out. And he said he was talking to his friend and she said, well, all lives matter. And he said, hold on 1 second. He said, hold on 1 second. He said, let me break it down to you like this. Imagine you go to the doctor and your doctor says, hey, you just did your checkup and your liver is bad. We have to take care of your liver. Unless we take care of your liver, you could be in trouble. Not saying that your heart, your kidney, and your lungs don't matter.
Right. This is the problem with today.
We have to take care of the liver, because if we don't take care of the liver, the whole body will shut down.
Yeah.
And I said, that is a perfect way of looking at it. Like, we're all humans, man. But as a black man, I asked my white friends for more help, because when I was out there on the streets and I looked out over there and I saw all of these races and mostly white raising their voice, saying Black Lives Matter in the city that I live in with Black Lives Matter signs, I just start crying, bro. And that's what we need. I'm asking for the help. And then for the people who, Mark, that you talk to just really can't get it, stop trying. You know why? Because when you look at the Netherlands, New Zealand, when you look at London, all these places all over the world, there's enough to go around to get the ball rolling. And there's enough human spirit for us to overcome this and get the healing and taking care of each other. And I will say this, if you get a chance, man, just make sure you give shouts out to these victims and these families, because they're going to need it. Because when the lights go out, they'll be left with a lot of hard, tough memories, and another long road ahead of them with a lot of, with a lot of emptiness.
Totally.
That's it.
I agree. Couldn't have said it better myself, obviously. I hope it lasts longer than the news cycle, because too many things in our country that need fixing get lost. And I know you've been working on gun control as well. I don't know how deep you want to get into that, but I thought your project of gun control is real and really brilliant. It probably has a whole lot of, questions about how it could really work with guns that are on the street already, and then new technology and all that stuff. Can you briefly just give us a 5-minute on what you're trying to put forward?
Here's the thing: as I met with you, Mark, and I said, listen, I think that we can have, without giving the idea away, but I think that we could have responsible gun control. But I'm a gun owner, but when it comes to that, we cannot sit back and allow people to be murdered in the ways that we've been watching and become immune to it. We need our sensitivity back. And the things that I expressed to you will be a way for us to not only almost eliminate those situations, but also for the people that are protecting us, because they need a way to protect themselves. So if there's a way that we could, without giving it away, if there's a way that a security guard would know that this person has an AR-15 or whatever like that, we'd be able to alert everyone, alert people in our schools, just like how we have kids, man, in our schools. And they do, I don't know if people know this, but they do kill drills now, where the kids write on pieces of paper saying goodbye to their loved ones, because this is the only this is their only choice. And I don't think we should live in a world like that. So like I said, we're going to need all hands on deck, and we're going to have to get our sensitivity back. And I think the future looks bright in that regard. I know that right now we're in a place of where everyone's, digging their feet in the sand, and we're a little contentious right now. But I will say this is the last thing I'll say. With everything that's going on right now, just look for the good in people. Right now, all we're doing is looking for the bad in people in every situation. And even when I look at media, and sometimes I shake my head, I say, wow, they're looking for the bad of every situation. And I call some of those guys on the phone and said, bro, give me one story.
Give me something positive.
Give me something
it's
positive,
brutal.
man. You can't keep saying so-and-so on the left and so-and-so on the right and so-and-so against this and black and white. Please, because it's not like that when we're out there, Mark, and you've seen it. When you're marching, you see these peaceful people saying this is what we're dealing with, but look for the good in people, man. And I think
I don't know why our media is so focused on fear mongering and scare tactics and shock. It's like I know that they need money and ratings, but my God,
it's money. At the end of the day,
so sad.
We have to turn our backs on some of this. When you look at media, this is.
I mean, that's why we're doing this. Honestly, I find it like more refreshing to get. I mean, look, I'm not reaching an audience of CNN or Fox, but honestly, I'd rather just have intimate conversations, because it all starts within community and friendship and trust of one another. So moving on to a brighter subject, because we only have like 5 minutes. As a super fan of Mike Tyson, and you did a little imitation earlier, I'm not going to make you do one now, but you can if you want, obviously. But so I saw Mike a year ago at his
Yeah.
ranch, and I said,
Yeah.
"The Tyson movie happening?" He goes, "I think so."
Yeah.
Then I saw you a couple weeks or a month later, and you're like, "I don't think it's going to happen."
Yeah.
Now I think it's going to happen again, but can
Yeah.
you just give me a definitive yes
It's a
and when and
definitive.
how is it going?
It's a definitive yes. And the
Great.
reason that it's a yes because look, doing biographies is a tough thing. Sometimes it takes 20 years to get them done, but we officially got the real ball rolling, and I can't wait to show people.
This is excellent news, by the way.
What it is, because most times people do, like, I met Mike Tyson in the weirdest way. I was on stage doing stand-up years ago, and I get to my Mike Tyson joke. I was a young dude, like 22. I get to my Mike Tyson joke, and nobody claps. Nobody laughs. You know why? Because Mike
he was there.
Yeah. And this when Mike was
I'm
knocking
with them on
motherfuckers
that.
out for
Oh
nothing.
yeah, for sure.
And a dude yelled out, "Yo, Mike is in here." And I was like, "Oh shit." I was like, gas. It was immediate. And then some black girl was in the front like, "What you gonna do, Jamie? You scared? You gonna do your joke?" I said, "Shut the fuck up," right? And then the dude yelled out, said, "Yo, Mike said do the joke, but that shit better be funny." And I was like, "Oh shit." So the crowd went from looking at him and then looking at me. I do the joke. I get a standing ovation. Mike runs up on me. "There he is. Come here, you crazy motherfucker. Come here, I'm gonna talk to you." And so I started hanging out with Mike Tyson. So I got a chance to see Mike in two different ways, two different lives. I saw him at the height of his career. And then when things got bad, when things got bumpy, I also saw him as well. So what I'm excited about the movie is to show those moments of the different Mike. When I called Mike a couple of years ago and said, "Mike, how you doing?" He says, "I'll praise to Allah, my brother. I'm just happy." So why are you happy? "I'm just happy because I don't have a crazy amount of money anymore. So I don't have any vultures around me. So nobody can take anything from me. So I'm just happy. How are you, good brother?" And I said, "Oh, that's the person that we want to show. We want to show everybody evolves. Everybody comes from a good or a bad place." And I think when we lay the layers on Mike Tyson in this story, I think everybody from young and old will be able to understand this man's journey and the way we'll place it. And then just the technology of how I'm going to look, I guarantee you people will run up on me in the street and ask for autographs and think that I'm Mike.
Because you obviously did the Ray Charles story, won the Oscar for it, and you had the privilege of being with Ray Charles. He was still alive at the time, and I know that it was very meaningful. Are you preparing in a similar way to that? Music, sports, whatever. But how are you preparing to be Mike?
Get my phone in there. Get my phone. What I'm doing is right now is changing the body. So now what I do every other day, I do 60 pull-ups. We do 60 dips. We do 100 push-ups. We do this. It's changing the body. Top half. I ain't got no legs, so I ain't gonna never get that.
Because he had that.
So I ain't got no calf muscle, so we're gonna have to get some prosthetics for that.
It's all good.
So we're gonna shoot all the way up. We're gonna shoot up here,
Yeah.
What we're doing is we're just changing. We're changing the body, and I'm gonna show you something. This is an exclusive. In changing the body, we will be 216 pounds when we shoot, and then we will balloon to 225, 230, which will look like 250 on screen. And here's a quick picture of what I look like.
Wow.
So now
it looks like young Mike right there. Young Mike.
And here's the other one. There we go. We on our way.
Incredible.
So once that happens, and
that is movie magic, because I saw your arms the other day, and I'm just saying they weren't.
So once that, I saw
the other day you weren't ripped like that. So movie magic is real.
So once that happens, and that was a picture like just like a couple of months ago. Once that happens, then we'll start to add on who he is and what he is. Just the way he orders his food, what he cares about. And I think that's what'll make the movie go.
I'm very excited to see it. And let me tell you, this has been an amazing experience for me, and I hope everybody watching. You are, again, one of my favorite people, in the world. And certainly as a fan, you are my favorite. And Marlon can be mad at me for that later. But
no, that's my guy.
But
well,
yeah,
I love you,
you're the best, and I appreciate your time. And let me just ask you this last thing. Is there anything you're not good at?
I can't bowl, Mark. Can't bowl, baby. I got ADD.
Are we gonna play golf soon and see how you get
Yeah, man. Hey, now
I got the bag.
I
in
try
case
to
anybody
hit.
didn't see it.
Enjoy that, man.
With the sound system.
WizPack. Go follow
there
us.
it is.
Go follow us on Instagram. WizPack. Get your WizPack. It's a great gift.
It's loud too, man. It's very loud.
It
like it's loud enough to like entertain. I had the kids dancing in the house to this the other night. We had like a full dance party around the bag. I gotta send you the video. It's great.
That's great, man. Mark, man, I love you, baby. Peace.
And I'm gonna just tell you, let's meet at Sugar Bar when New York City is back open. And
all right, let's do it.
Stuff on a Thursday open mic. Sugar Bar is amazing. I'll see you at Catch soon. My other question is, what's your favorite restaurant? But I think we
Catch, baby. Catch, baby. Catch me at Catch at all times.
I'm earning my money now. Thank you very much. Much love. Thank you for your.
I appreciate it.
Bye.